The second season of Monarch Legacy of Monsters truly overwhelmed us with its final episodes. Even if the tone this season was much more heartwarming, with Cate realizing she has a strange connection to the great god of the sea, and Titan X turning out to be one of the most misunderstood kaiju in the show yet. I mean, she was only trying to save her unborn offspring, right? Irrespective of all the human drama often overshadowing a story about titans, Monarch Legacy of Monsters still gave us plenty of monster mayhem. And now that Season 2 has wrapped, with Apple still yet to officially confirm Season 3, this feels like the perfect time to discuss every new Titan, returning kaiju tease, and Skull Island superspecies introduced or highlighted in the second season of Monarch Legacy of Monsters. So without wasting another moment, let's get right to it. Sea scarabs. Anyone who is caught up with the second season of Monarch is probably aware of these scarab-like creatures. Wherever Titan X goes, the scarabs follow, as they share some sort of codependent and symbiotic relationship with one another. Every time a human has knowingly or unknowingly harmed one of the sea scarabs, Titan X leaves everything to go after them until the scarab is brought to safety. When Cate opened the rift to rescue Lee, the sea scarabs joined Titan X while entering Axis Mundi, and then followed her into the ocean surrounding Skull Island when the Titan was trying to avoid a confrontation with Kong. However, one sea scarab stowed away in Outpost 18 and killed a Monarch agent while scurrying around the hallways. It even tried to attack Cate before Kentaro and May incapacitated it with a flare gun. Cate then beat the sea scarab with a fire extinguisher, only for it to respond by emitting a sonic screech that immediately drew Titan X toward it, causing the Titan to turn around and swim toward Outpost 18 in full attack mode. As a solution, Tim, Kentaro, and Lee then placed the sea scarab on a Zodiac to lure Titan X away. Lee then tossed the sea scarab into the ocean, thus reuniting it with the pacified Kokai. We even see another swarm of sea scarabs emerge from American Samoa's Ofu Beach and kill two surfers before reuniting with Titan X. These sea bug-like creatures also protect and nurture Titan X, because when Apex Cybernetics injected a painful neural implant into one of Titan X's appendages, the sea scarabs heard the Titan's distress and used their razor-sharp teeth to gnaw the appendage and the device off. Later, we also see them helping Kokai and her egg before retreating into the sand before Godzilla shows up to send her back. Like Titan X, they appear capable of moving between water and land, but they can also burrow beneath the soil or crawl up high trees and buildings. While it is possible to injure or kill these menacing creatures, the wrath of Titan X soon follows after, especially if the scarabs alert her with their sonic screech. Kokai, Titan X, the great god of the sea. Coming to the icon of the season, in my opinion, Titan X is one of the most mystical kaiju introduced by the Monsterverse. Known in the show as Kokai and worshipped by locals as El Gran Dios del Mar, or the Great God of the Sea, she is depicted as an ancient sea god figure who hides beneath the ocean, is surrounded by glowing creatures, and is almost considered to be a myth found in folktales. However, irrespective of what we were initially led to believe, Kokai was never just a monster destroying everything in her path. Instead, she is an ancient and fascinating creature who is deeply connected to the marine ecosystem, keeping the balance of nature intact. Even before Lee, Keiko, and Bill found out about this creature and codenamed it Titan X, the legends around Kokai had existed for centuries. Apparently, many of these legends connect the Titan to South America sea god imagery, with the show drawing from mythic ideas around ocean deities, rising seas, and land-shaping forces. From what we know in the series, Titan X had once flooded huge portions of land, forcing people to climb up mountains in order to survive the rising level of the sea. Some stories even connect the creature to major changes in the landscape. More recently, in the 1950s, right before the original Monarch crew's first encounter with the creature, the locals of Santa Soledad referred to Titan X as El Gran Dios del Mar, or the Great God of the Sea. On a more interesting note, the show strongly suggests that some myths around Kokai may be distorted memories of real Titan encounters. Just like ancient civilizations once worshipped Godzilla as a god of destruction and balance, the people of Santa Soledad believed Titan X ruled over the oceans, thus making her the great god of the sea. Apparently, during ancient times, the presence of Kokai in the South American waters surrounding the Chilean island of Santa Soledad led to the native inhabitants to worship her as a god who held dominion over marine life and blessed the waters surrounding the island by enriching them. Kokai can produce considerable amounts of nutrients from her body, enriching the waters she swims in. As a result, when she migrates, the Titan brings in the bounty of the sea once every 15 years. She also migrates around the Pacific Ocean to reunite with various sea scarab swarms during her migration route. Not just that, Titan X's presence in Japanese waters also inspired myths of a demonic yokai that lures women into dark caves. She is mostly a protector kaiju who was only following her migration cycle and wanted to protect her egg, to the point that she involved herself in a fight with both Kong and Godzilla. However, once she retrieved her egg, Titan X actually apologized to Kong in her own way, and then returned to Axis Mundi before being guided by Cate through their unusual bioacoustic and empathetic connection. She was truly a misunderstood queen, and I would honestly love to see more of her in the future of the MonsterVerse. Rodan. Coming to the big reveal of the season finale, Rodan is obviously not a new MonsterVerse Titan. We already saw him play a major role in Godzilla King of the Monsters, which takes place after the events of Monarch Legacy of Monsters. But that is exactly what makes his Season 2 appearance so interesting. Instead of introducing Rodan for the first time, the show seems to be planting a pre-King of the Monsters mystery around him, or possibly even teasing a Rodan variant connected to Southeast Asia. During the ending moments of the finale, Lee Shaw is seen trailing Kentaro and Isabel, probably to stop them from finding a way to open new rifts and go back into the past to alter the events of Hiroshi's death. Kentaro does not care that it could create irreversible anomalies. He only wants to find a way to bring back his father. His search leads him to a rainforest in Southeast Asia, where he meets an old acquaintance named Awut, who explains how he thinks he has the key to unlocking Axis Mundi. That is why Kentaro and Isabel also visited him, but he sent them on their way after sensing that something about them was off. After being taken deep into the jungle, the men refused to cross an arbitrary border. When Shaw asked what had the men spooked, one of them revealed that his arms were covered in severe burns. Apparently, something lurking deeper in the trees was responsible for it. So, with his companions too afraid to continue, Lee kept going alone and eventually laid eyes on the pyromaniac scourge that had everybody so worked up. Lee notices the unmistakable silhouette of Rodan, who is secretly nesting atop an active volcano. Having said that, Rodan had a pretty important role to play in Godzilla King of the Monsters, which is set after the events of Monarch Legacy of Monsters. In case you did not know, Rodan is a member of a prehistoric reptilian aerial superspecies that co-evolved alongside other giant monsters like Godzilla and the Titans. Rodan's species heavily resembles Pterosaurus, even though they do not seem to be directly related to them. The species shares many similarities with birds of prey, such as a bird-like head armed with a massive serrated beak and talons capable of grasping. Their heads are adorned with a crest of two bony horns that grow backward, and their wings are extensions of their forelimbs, which can be folded while standing or walking. In Godzilla King of the Monsters, Rodan was associated with the volcano of Isla de Mara, Mexico, where he had entered a centuries-long period of hibernation inside the volcano. This volcanic birthplace helped explain his outer dermis of volcanic rock and many of his biovolcanic characteristics. That volcano became known among the locals as El Nido del Demonio, or the Demon's Nest. This explains why Rodan had an internal volcanic combustion system, which allows him to radiate extreme heat. As a result, Rodan's external body temperature is life-threateningly hot upon close contact, to the point that he was able to use it during his skirmish with Mothra in King of the Monsters to slowly burn her. When Rodan was later stabbed by Mothra, a small amount of fire was seen erupting from the wound. This biovolcanic nature also allowed Rodan to survive Godzilla's thermonuclear pulses, which would have killed many other creatures. Cool, right? But why do you think Rodan is perched on an active volcano somewhere in Southeast Asia? And how will Monarch explain that in relation to the events leading up to Godzilla King of the Monsters? Psycho Vulture. According to their cryptozoological classification, psychovultures are also known as Vultura insanis. They are large, bat-like, pterosaur-like flying reptilian superspecies in the monsterverse who inhabit Skull Island. To be clear, psychovultures are not brand new to monsterverse lore, but Season 2 brings them into the main live-action Monarch storyline in a much more direct and memorable way. Apparently, these feisty vulture-like creatures become literally insane after ingesting poisonous pufferfish, which explains their name. Basically, it is hypothesized that these large, hairless, bat-like monsters exhibit signs of psychopathy because they willingly choose to induce psychoactive effects by eating poisonous pufferfish found on Skull Island. This resulting mania caused by the chemical agents forces the psychovulture to indiscriminately hunt down and destroy everything it encounters, including members of its own species. As they have a relatively small digestive system, it has been suggested that the creature has evolved to feed on plant life and small animals. Yet, it has also been observed dragging off prey that is far too large for it to ever consume. For the psychovulture, it seems that to kill is sustenance enough. These creatures also display sexual dimorphism, as the males have hair on their backs in the shape of a mohawk, while the females have hoods resembling that of a cobra. I was honestly rather surprised to find out just how common these psychotic birds are in this world. In fact, Monarch creature profile material describes a psychovulture as an airborne creature made of pure aggression, and that description makes perfect sense after we see the monstrous bird in the first episode of Season 2. When Cate, Hiroshi, May, and Kentaro sneak into Skull Island to bring Lee back from Axis Mundi, they continue through the deep trenches of the jungle and are stopped by a pterosaur-like Leafwing, which is basically a smaller relative of the psychovulture. While we already see a flock of these feisty creatures flying above the island, this one is sitting on a branch, thus alarming the rescue team and leading them to hide among the tall trees. But just as the Leafwing screams, a deranged psychovulture suddenly attacks and kills it after seemingly sensing the humans. It also starts shooting electrical charges out of its mouth for no clear reason, but instead of attacking the humans, the fanatic bird chooses to dig out and devour a gigantic worm-like grub from the ground before flying off. In just a few moments of its appearance, you understand that this is not a creature to be trifled with, especially because the frenzied chaos of being coked up on pufferfish poison is its natural state of being. Leafwing. You already know how we come across Leafwings in the show, but apart from seeing one get munched down by a psychovulture, we also witness a flock of these feisty creatures flying above the island. For those who do not know, Leafwings are smaller, pterosaur-like creatures that are tinier in size than an adult human. They are green in color with yellow heads, orange wings, and long spear-like snouts covered with jagged edges. These feisty creatures live, hunt, and thrive in large flocks. They are described as less aggressive than their larger counterparts, while still being prone to attacking and dangerous nevertheless. Apparently, the spikes of a Leafwing along with its bony trunk are laced with a powerful anesthetic agent that is deployed as the creature dive bombs its prey from on high, spearing them with its weaponized snout. To be more accurate, Leafwings are essentially less aggressive cousins of psychovultures. They are also familiar with Skull Island creatures, meaning Monsterverse fans may recognize their general design and behavior from Kong-related lore. Venerat. In the first episode itself, after the Randas and May finally reach the disheveled Monarch facility, they realize that Kong has torn apart the electric grid, thus complicating their work in getting it up and running. But because the perimeter fences are down, anything could have gotten onto the island, so it is also dangerous to go in and fix it. However, Kentaro volunteers to get the backup generators running, and with May's help, he goes into the Monarch control room and successfully gets the generators to start back up. Unfortunately, the sudden noises of the machinery catch the attention of a rather gnarly monster. This creature basically looks like a deformed weasel, or maybe a hybrid between a lizard and a rat, and it frantically attacks May and Kentaro. Having said that, it is less of a magnificent beast and more of a gross monster, as its face is literally molting, and it also has a huge rat-like tail. Luckily, just as this contorted creature is about to get to May by running toward her on all fours, Kentaro manages to hop on a forklift and uses it to pin the monster against the wall before driving a spear through it at full speed, thus killing it. Apparently, this kaiju is known as a Venerat, and it is part of a rodent-like superspecies. Like I said, it mostly looks like a rat, but it is the size of a tiger and has vine-like growths on its body, hence the glorious name. Venerats produce feline-like roars, growls, snarls, hisses, and chuffs. As predators native to Skull Island's underworld, Venerats are low-slung, mole-like megafauna best adapted for life in perpetual darkness. Though they are most often found in subterranean tunnel networks, Venerats occasionally surface into abandoned structures and caves after being drawn to vibration and the scent of decay. Not just that, the muscular body of this gnarly creature is covered in patchy, scabrous hide that is overgrown with viscous, vine-like growths, thus giving it the appearance of a creature that is half animal and half overgrown by the earth itself. A Venerat hunts with the support of sound and vibration, as it emits a rasping chuff that reverberates through its environment before it strikes. This means that these creatures use a form of echolocation to orient themselves and locate potential prey. However, if this kaiju is disturbed, it attacks with explosive speed in a blur of fangs, claws, and hanging vegetation erupting from the shadows of whatever dark place it calls home. Moreover, these creatures also have very sharp teeth and claws, which allow them to disembowel their prey in seconds. To add to that, Venerats are barely phased even after they are hit by objects thrown at them, and they can run much faster than humans. So if you see a large rat-like shadow with glowing red eyes glistening in the dark, that is your cue to run for your life. Needlewalker. Needlewalkers are a dinosaurian superspecies within the monsterverse and mostly look like an ornithomimus with gray, kalenkin-like beaks. Their bodies are covered in green pine needle-like quills, and they can run much faster than humans, which is pretty much how they get their name. Apparently, needlewalkers can vibrate their needle-like quills to help orient themselves in dark locations, and they can even knock over humans while running at full speed. We first see them in Season 2, Episode 4, Trespass, on the fringes of Skull Island's Apex Cybernetics Research Facility, as Kentaro Randa returns from his encounter with Kong. Turns out needlewalkers were among the many Skull Island creatures Apex Cybernetics had captured and smuggled into the sub-basement of the Pensacola facility. But they were eventually freed from their confinement by Kentaro and Lee Shaw, so they could wreak havoc around the facility and distract Apex personnel from discovering Keiko and Hiroshi. According to creature profile lore, needlewalkers are a recently observed superspecies who are deemed to be tall, fast, and highly territorial. They move with a kind of controlled precision, but there is nothing subtle about the damage they leave behind. The rigid, spine-like quills covering their bodies shift as they run, carving grooves into stone and even metal when they build speed. Their limbs end in long, narrow digits tipped with sharp claws, which they use to grip the ground or anchor themselves mid-stride. This gives them surprising stability and agility even at high speeds. When seen in groups, needlewalkers behave like coordinated hunters. But very little is known about where they come from, although they seem to have originated from deep below the surface. They appear to move upward through fissures in the earth, likely in response to seismic activity or shifts tied to Titan migration. Beyond that, everything about them is still largely a mystery. Vine Strangler. The Vine Stranglers are among the many Skull Island creatures Apex Cybernetics has captured and smuggled into the sub-basement of their Pensacola facility. We saw a pack of Vine Stranglers attack a Monarch rescue team that included Lee, Keiko, Tim, and May, killing and devouring half of the agents in the process. These giant katydid-like superspecies have evolved to closely mimic tree branches, as they appear to have numerous tendrils extending from their abdomens, which they use to lift prey into their gaping stomachs before closing them. Due to often merging themselves into the canopy of trees, it is difficult to make sense of where exactly the Vine Strangler ends and where the actual tree begins. They are also crepuscular, meaning they are active during both dawn and dusk. As arboreal flora-fauna that live in the boughs of rainforest trees, the Vine Stranglers remain camouflaged and still in one place, waiting for prey to walk beneath them. Once prey does, the monsters draw the victim up into their stomachs using their ropey, muscular tendrils, where the victim suffocates and is bathed in dissolving juices. Moreover, the Vine Stranglers and their home trees appear to be symbiotic. The tree provides shelter while the creature provides fertilizer with the remains of its victims. A tree can support as many as 10 Vine Stranglers, though larger trees can support even greater populations. They also seem capable of sensing the location and movements of prey, despite having very poor eyesight and no antennae. Lastly, vine stranglers are also pack hunters who will pursue any potential prey until it becomes too difficult to catch. Stampede caterpillar. These weirdly adorable insect superspecies are known as stampede caterpillars because of their obvious caterpillar-like appearance and their tendency to stampede when provoked. They are not outright predatory, and they are also very social, but that does not mean they are incapable of killing when threatened. Stampede caterpillars are green in color with orange spines, orange legs, orange mandibles, and multiple cute little black eyes. We briefly see them in the final episode when a herd of coiled-up stampede caterpillars rolls past Lee Shaw and Keiko Randa as Kong prepares to battle Titan X. They may not get a major action sequence, but their appearance adds to the larger idea that Skull Island is not just Kong's kingdom. It is an entire living ecosystem, packed with creatures that can be bizarre, beautiful, and deadly all at once. Well, that brings us to the very end of this video. Season 2 of Monarch Legacy of Monsters did not just give us one new major titan in Kokai, it also expanded the monsterverse bestiary with sea scarabs, Venerats, needlewalkers, vine stranglers, stampede caterpillars, and the return of familiar Skull Island nightmares like psycho-vultures and Leafwing. And then, of course, there is that massive Rodan tease, which could become one of the biggest setup points for whatever comes next. So now that the season has ended, what are your thoughts about the second installment of Monarch Legacy of Monsters? Do you think the next major threat could involve Rodan? Or do you think Apple and Legendary are saving something even bigger for the future of the Monsterverse? Let us know your thoughts and theories in the comment box below.